Hey there, this is Ben from patternprofits.net bringing you the weekly watch list. Starting with IWO, our proxy for small cap growth. We did get a bounce late last week off of this descending trend line. Plenty of work to do here though, with 50, 65, 10, 20 still above. Volume shelf point of control also above. So even on strength early next week, plenty of work to do there to reclaim that level. The market itself remains bifurcated. We've got QQQ not in as bad of shape as what we saw with IWO, but as you'll see, not in as good a shape as the S&P either. We did get volume weighted average price VWAP off of the high here, closed right there on Friday. Rally early in the session was capped by the 1020 MA cloud there. Support below 50 and 65 as well as the ascending trend line. But, comparing this and where tech stands compared to the S&P, which is up here at new highs, just a tale of two tapes, really. You can see the SPY holding support there from anchored VWAP off of the gap here as held as support, and once again into new highs. Let's get right into the watch list. Oil and gas, the theme. CPE, we've been discussing this one for quite some time. 42.31, the pivot above, looking for that to make the move and break out above that level. We have, there's several in this group. CHX is another one. Right there near highs, 25.56, the pivot there. So looking for a break through there. PXD, another one. And these are all, oil and gas related. I'm not going to pretend to be an oil and gas expert at this point, just following the charts and the flow. 169.49, the pivot there, looking for that one to push through. And then I have one more, FANG, Diamondback Energy, similar, up near the highs. This one more of a traditional cup with handle pattern. 87.55, the pivot there. 1020 cloud acting as support, just looking for that either to break the descending trend line, can come in early in the handle, or through standard pivot at 87.55. Outside of oil and gas, FND, I mentioned this one over on FinTwit last week. 108.54, pivot, broke out, good volume as you see down here, made a little bit of a run, came back, market weakness, retested that 108.54 level and held, put in a big move Friday, has reclaimed anchored VWAP from off of the high, so looking for that to push into new highs. 1020 cloud just below. If I pull our volume by price over, you'll see that it reclaimed the point of control and volume shelf late last week. Along that same line of thought, HVT flagging up high. We like when we see these big green volume candles, especially when we have it on a power earnings gap, then it flags up high, back above the volume shelf and point of control, as well as anchored VWAP from off of that power earnings gap. Now we look for it to take out that descending trend line in that little flag or channel down there and come ripping out of there. That's what we're looking for. VRTV, this is another one that I mentioned. Paper products, very, very hot group. RFP, I believe, was the other one, just highs after highs after highs on big volume. 49.98, the pivot here, probably just looking for a move through big round number 50 on this one. Had a nice little inside day here Thursday, was hoping that it would come out of there and clear the pivot all in one shot, but it was actually kind of quiet until late in the day on Friday. But looking for that to clear that 49.98 pivot big volume back here on the power earnings gap. It has held above that level, volume weighted average price from the gap, this entire run. So high and tight, looking for that one to come out. Last couple of weeks, I mentioned Goldman Sachs, which we saw break out. Morgan Stanley broke out right behind it, and now you have JP Morgan set up to clear 161.68 pivot, little cup pattern here. Maybe it forms a handle and goes, or maybe it just goes. The others are well ahead, but JP Morgan may be looking to play some catch up with Goldman and Morgan, as well as some of the others that have already broken out. Another one, Caesars Entertainment, CZR, really good revenue growth, triple-digit revenue growth for the last few quarters. Pattern shaping up nice here, 106.20, the pivot. This group, again, very hot. So look for volume to come in. We don't really have the big green volume I like to see, so definitely would want to see that if it clears the 106.20 pivot early next week. Going over to the power earnings gap list, Intuitive Surgical, I've mentioned this the last couple weeks, still waiting on this one to make the move out of the flag here. Again, came up and closing right at that volume weighted average price from the gap. Volume shelf point of control just above, flagging up high, so looking for this to break out hopefully early next week. Another one, Crocs has been very hot. This in that same line of thought. Skechers, big power earnings gap, nice volume, has consolidated nicely, and now came up late last week, tagged that volume weighted average price from the gap there, moved back ahead above the volume shelf and point of control. Need that to push through. Anchored VWAP from off of the gap and the high here. Push through, turn that back up. Maybe you can grab that on the retest if you don't want a chance trying to grab it on that initial push through. A lot of times the safest place to grab them is after it turns this anchored VWAP back up and then pulls back and retests. Along those same line of thought, Carter's, retail again has been really hot. This had a big power earnings gap here. Volume shelf point of control just below close, just below it on Friday, similar to what we just discussed in Skechers. Looking for this to push through anchored VWAP from off of the high and the power earnings gap there, turn that back up and make a run higher. I believe that's it. That's all I've got on the watch list for early next week. I hope all the moms out there had a very happy Mother's Day, and I hope you trade them well next week, and I will see you over on FinTwit.